You're dealing with bricks and mortar, but bricks and mortar primarily deal with people. Yeah, it's about people having a place to stay. Without a place to stay, what can you do? We bought our first few buy-to-lets in 2016. And then we also help to source property for people. By doing something without the education, that's where the risk is. When you are just guessing. But when you do something with sound knowledge, sound research, then it's not guessing. It's an informed action. Nothing is guaranteed. We're not God. But when you do enough research and enough preparation, the probability of success is high.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't see your full potential, but a third party can. Celebrating your wings. I'm all about celebrating. Yeah. You have to celebrate your wings. You know, regularly celebrating your wings, recognizing the progress you've done, you've made, and you know, it attracts
Hello
more.
And welcome to Not Another Money Podcast. Why is it called Not Another Money Podcast, you may be wondering? It's because this is not your typical money show. Get ready for real money conversations and lessons, expert insights from some of our very special guests, and hear some really inspiring stories from everyday people. On this podcast, you're going to learn how to earn more, how to spend less, how to grow the difference, and most importantly, live your best financial life. Hi Grace, welcome to Not Another Money Podcast. Thank you so much for being on the show. How are you today?
I'm so fine, so excited, very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No, and thank you for honouring the invitation. I'm really excited for this conversation ahead because I think it's going to be a really interesting one. It's a topic that we haven't delved into yet actually on the show. So yeah. I think this would be a really, really good conversation. I think the audience will find it very interesting. Good. But I think before we dive into that, the heart of the conversation, it would be good for you to introduce yourself to our audience for the benefit of those that don't know who you are and what you do. Tell us a little bit about Grace and what it is that Grace does.
Okay, so I call myself a mumpreneur. I'm a property investor and developer alongside my husband, and I'm also a network marketer. And I'm also a coach. So I do various things to multiply my income stream, but I'm also a very active and hands-on mum. So I'm a mumpreneur because I balance the two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. That's amazing. Thanks for introducing yourself. And we're definitely going to dive a lot more into your story and into a lot more about what you do as a business owner, and also talk a little bit about motherhood too. Awesome. But before we dive into all that interesting, exciting stuff, what we want to do at the beginning of the show is play a little bit of a game. It's an icebreaker that I like to do with all my guests. It's a game of Would You Rather. So I'll give you a few options, and it's the money edition. So I'll give you a few options, and then you say, would you rather A or B? So I'll say whatever it is, and you just tell me which of the two that you'd rather do, right?
Absolutely. Go.
And you're not allowed to change your mind.
All right, noted.
Yeah. Would you rather
Yes.
win £1 million,
Yes,
but never be able to tell anybody about it?
Uh-huh.
Or win £1 million, or £100,000, sorry, and everyone knows about it. So win £1 million and it's your secret, nobody will ever know, not even your husband. Or win £100,000, but everybody knows about it.
Ooh, interesting one. He said, my husband needs to know everything. Yeah, so he would need to know. But he's like, first of all, I was thinking, winning the money and not telling anyone is not an issue. I can do that. Put it to work. Yeah. But my husband will know. We are one. Yeah. So if it's a case of my husband can't know, I'll take the 100,000.
Okay. Oh, I love that. You're a very honest wife. Yeah. So would you rather have £100,000 right now, today, but you can't spend it for a whole year?
Yeah.
Or would you rather have £10,000, which you can get today and spend it immediately?
I'll do the £100,000, and it's all about delayed gratification, right? Yes. The money's coming. I'll put it to good use. It's fine. There's no rush.
There's no rush. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And I think I would say the same as well. Yeah. 100K in a year's time. Do you know how, look at this year. We're already almost done, and we've blinked and it's been over. So
Absolutely.
I can definitely wait that.
There are projects in the pipeline. It's like you just plan towards it. The cash flow. That's good.
Yeah.
Bring me the 100,000 in a year.
Okay, fine. Would you rather find £50,000 cash hidden in your house, or £100,000 worth of money buried as treasure, but you have to find it?
I guess the implication is it being buried in treasure is going to be harder to find.
Yes.
But it being in your house is easier to find.
Exactly.
In this instance, maybe take it from my house, because I know my house and therefore I'll find it quicker. And then again, I'll put it to good use.
Exactly. Yeah. I would go with number one, but because I don't have the time to go looking for that £100,000, I've not got the time to go digging for that treasure. No, I know me, and I'll just lose interest trying to find it. So no, just give me that 50K,
Oh
and
no.
I'll go and work for that. So yeah,
Oh
same.
bless.
Okay, so next one.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather spend £5,000 on an extravagant experience? So it
Yeah.
could be like a holiday or a concert or something of that nature,
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
£5,000 on a designer item, so a luxury item. So it could be like a designer bag or a tech gadget.
Experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, quality time. Experiences are what I love,
Yeah.
in terms of money, etc. Money is a tool to give you experiences. My love language is time.
Yes.
So definitely I'll put the money into some experience to enjoy with my loved ones.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
brainer.
That same. I didn't even have to think twice about it. Even when I wrote it, I was just like, yeah, no, definitely. I'd rather experiences every day
Yes.
rather than
Yeah.
buying stuff.
It's the memories.
Exactly.
Yeah. As for things, break, whatever else.
And you lose interest in them very quickly anyway.
Yeah.
Last one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you rather earn £1 million a year
Uh-huh.
by working 80-hour weeks,
Uh-huh.
or earn £100,000 by working 10-hour weeks?
Repeat that, please.
Yeah. So would you rather earn £1 million a year,
Yeah.
but you have to work 80 hours a week?
Oh dear. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or earn £100,000
Yeah.
by working 10 hours a week?
The latter, for
Right.
sure. Like I said, it's time. So, and what I'll probably allude to is about leverage of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna give me that for that level of time, fine. Then I've got the other time to make that time work. Be creative. Whether I'm leveraging resources or whatever else. And again, like I said, time is my most valuable asset.
Yes.
It's something you can't get back. So we can make use of the time to spend with loved ones, etc., and to creatively make more money. So
Yes,
definitely
come
the
on.
first.
Yeah. I love that answer, and I'll definitely go. Thank you for playing.
Pleasure.
The next thing I like to do, ask my guests, is for them to share a money moment. So this is, of course, not another money podcast.
Yes.
And I like to ask my guests to share not another money moment. So it's
Yeah.
basically a significant money moment that you can remember, whether from childhood or adulthood, that had a
Yeah.
significant impact on you,
Yeah.
or that leaves a lasting memory for you.
Yeah.
If you care to share.
Yes. Okay. So what comes to mind actually, though I don't remember the full details of it, but basically it's university time, going to university, and I was going to year 2. And I remember there was a potential of me going into a halls of residence. And maybe I'd put down the deposit, and maybe, I don't know, there was maybe another payment to make. And for whatever reason, we couldn't make that payment, right? So then I lost that accommodation effectively. Now you're returning to school. I don't have any private accommodation. I don't have accommodation basically, right? And school is coming in. But then I reached out to a friend. Somehow got in touch with a friend or I knew a friend who had a house. Her mum had bought a house in Manchester, so she was living in her family home there. And she told me, Grace, come and stay with me.
Wow.
I knew I should have had a tissue. Like, oof. And it's like Maslow's basic needs, right? If by God's grace, I'm quite talented academically, right? But if I'm going to university, I don't have a place to stay. What am I doing?
Yeah.
If you do not have an accommodation, a place to rest your head, how can you do anything, right? This friend of mine, precious friend of mine, sadly, her parents had already passed away, but they had left her this, yeah? Obviously, you'd rather have your parents, but it gave me, it was all sorts of thoughts going through my head. Yeah. We came here to the UK as refugees. So, different challenges you're navigating. And anyway, long and short, I managed to stay with my friend. She was such a blessing. And that was quite a pivotal time for me, right? So it's a basic need, accommodation, right? And I've had another instance where I've had a challenge with accommodation, right? And again, it was a family friend who accommodated me, right? So I think those two scenarios made me, one, decide that I don't ever want to be in a situation where I don't have a roof over my head. So I want to have wealth. And also that I'd love to be a landlord, right? Okay. And more beyond that, being a landlord, obviously you get income from it. So I think it kind of was a stepping stone into me having a greater interest in property investing and being a property investor and landlord.
And that leads nicely, actually. So thank you for sharing that story, and amazing friend. That was able to bail
Absolutely.
you out in that time. Like,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
put a price on having those kind of good,
Absolutely.
meaningful relationships, and
Absolutely.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think, I guess that's, you've kind of began to tell the story of what led you to get into property. But can you tell us a little bit more about your property journey and what inspired you to become a property investor?
Yes, thank you. So, okay. Um so backtracking to that story still. So, I think I stayed with my friend maybe for maybe I don't know, a couple of weeks or so whilst I was looking for private
Yeah.
residence, so a place to share. And it may have been a week or so, whatever, but I needed that time, to get to start school and all the rest of it. But then I guess it started you thinking about the your the basic needs, yeah, and the fact that we need accommodation, and then thinking about the landlord was now taking rent from each of us, calculating how much all that was,
Yeah.
and how he had turned maybe a living room into a bedroom. So it just piqued my interest. Yeah, um, I'm all about,
What was
like,
you studying at uni at
I
this
was
time?
studying biomedical material
Oh, no
science.
way.
Yes,
It's
way.
totally different.
Yes. So I have a master's of engineering in biomedical material science.
Wow.
I did that with industrial experience. And thereafter, I did work in that industry or in a related industry for about 10 years.
Okay, okay, okay.
So loved it. Well, backtrack. I did a placement in a biological environment in the laboratory. But as you know, I'm very much a people's person. And actually, I was actually quite sensitive to the chemicals I was working with. So I had to wear gloves. I had to wear a whole full-on face mask. It was hot up
Oh
in
my
there,
gosh.
and I'm like, nah. I
I can't
even
keep
want to be
doing
with
this.
people,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
don't even want to be with this glassware necessarily,
Yeah.
and I have to all this, nah. So then it made me explore what else I could do. So I was very much into the sciences, and I thought, okay, I want to use my science to benefit society. And then I came across an industry known as clinical research.
Yeah.
So I went into the field of clinical research, started as a technician, became a clinical research associate. That was the goal. Achieved it, did well with it. Um, and within that, on that journey, got married, etc. But with that line of work, it required a lot of traveling, right? Which was good and great, but time. um I'm traveling. I'm based in London, traveling up to Scotland, traveling all over, right?
Wow.
Visiting hospitals, monitoring the clinical trials, etc. So it gets to a point when you have to think, do I really which is more important to me? And family, quality time with my family, it's always been a priority for me. You know, when I was younger, I was actually interested in medicine. My mum's a medical doctor,
Okay.
and then I explored that. I did a placement, etc. Prayed on it, and it's like literally I prayed, Lord, if it's for me, help me. I was actually on track to go to Cambridge, right?
Wow.
My husband, I was a year ahead of myself academically, but come year six, yeah, when we're going to secondary school, that was when they realized I was in the wrong academic year. So they wanted to hold me back a year. And my granddad, who I say is my number one champion, was like, no. He said, I was the best academically. Why are you going to be holding her back now?
Yeah.
So I carried on, did everything fine, up to sixth form and everything. And I was a Cambridge prospect, right? To do medicine, even. And so I was on track for three A's. The exams came and I did not get three A's,
Oh.
girl. So, and
What happened?
he said, Ginny, God happened. I said, who knows? So it was so unbelievable to us. We actually had some of my papers remarked. Yeah,
Wow.
it just did not make sense. And then there could have been some issues with some of my coursework. I think maybe some of my coursework was missed. Bottom line, I prayed to God. If medicine's for me, let me go. If not, close the door and redirect me. So I just take it as a redirection.
Yes.
I'd done my first year fine. It was the second year that became the issue. You understand? So it just anyway. So I did it, and I passed well. I ended up with three B's, missing out on A's by fractions. So I could have still pursued medicine, but I felt that was my answer. That medicine was not the route for me there and then. Fine. So then I got a scholarship. I was invited by University of Manchester, UMIS, to study biomedical material science. I had applied for biomedical sciences, but then was offered this biomedical engineering, basically, so you can generate prosthesis, contact lenses, hip implants, all that kind of stuff. So it was really good, insightful, and it taught me a lot. On that course, engineering course, I was the one only black female. So I was on a minority on many levels. And in my own household, when growing up, I am the eldest. I'm the only female of my siblings. I have two other brothers. So I've grown up, let's say, in very male dominated areas. And I think that stood me in good stead in getting into the world of property as well. Um, but yeah, still with the university trend, well, it just helped me to find myself and help me decide what I wanted. So people is what I was more interested in, right? Went to clinical trials, but then again, that pivotal moment, I've always known that again, family, quality time with family is pivotal for me. So property, and I said, multiplying the income that we're getting from that,
Yeah.
that's passive income. You set up your house, you rent it out, you get money month on month. So again, I'm intelligent. I said I want to use my brains to work for me, leverage, right? So it's like I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get some properties to build an income stream to give me that flexibility of time, so that I can spend quality time with my family. So I did my biomedical engineering, etc. Did the clinical trials, and as it would happen, 2016, that was the most pivotal year for us. I was in a PAYE job. I was based in London. Headquarters was up in Knutsford, near Manchester. The company I was working with at the time had a downturn in business, so redundancies.
Yeah.
I had only been there less than 2 years, so last in, first out, but they're still going through the process. And well, long and short, I was offered the redundancy. Well, not even a redundancy. I was offered garden leave because I hadn't been there long
You hadn't
enough.
been there.
But they had come to find out that my husband and I had come across Field and Financial. That was um, a fork in the road for us. Field and Financial was a property education company. Yeah. As of 2009, we got married. 2010, we got onto the property ladder. Through a family friend who wanted to sell a property, and yeah, it was my mother-in-law. So we worked with her, and we she wanted to sell. It was in Battersea though, but we said that, you know what, Battersea prime area, don't sell. So we worked with her, remortgaged, helped her to buy a property elsewhere that she wanted, maintain that property. We lived there, maintained the mortgage, did it up. Over a few years, the value of the property went up. We were able to remortgage, pull out money, and then get a long-term property for us in Croydon. So that was the beginning of our property journey. And then we knew that we needed further education. We needed smarts.
Yeah.
If we were just going to wait on the property values increasing, that was going to take a long while to build the property portfolio we had in our hearts. So we found an education source and we pursued it. Coming back to that redundancy situation, they heard I'd gone on this property course, said, "Oh, well, if you're doing this property, you're going to be fine."
Yeah.
That's what they
Is
said.
that what they
You know,
said?
yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had offered that I'll go, but they were going through their processes, and they gave me garden leave. And so yeah, by 2016 March, I was on garden leave, given money for that basically, and we did our 3-day course with Fielding, February of 2016, embarked on our mentorship, and made our first buy-to-let acquisition within a few months of that. And
Wow.
yeah, we haven't looked back since.
Amazing. That's an incredible journey that you've been on. And for you to be able to pivot from what you was doing in the clinical, was it clinical trials?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, to property. That takes courage for you to actually step out and do something that you've never done before.
Yeah.
What made you know that this was something that you could do?
Good question. So transferable skills, one, right?
Yeah.
So in the area of clinical research, you're dealing with people. I was traveling a lot, so I'm always organizing my travel. So God was setting me up, yeah? As you know, I'm also a Christian. So it's like, it's all transferable skills. You're dealing with people. Property is a people's business. You're dealing with bricks and mortar, but bricks and mortar primarily deal with people, right? Like I even started with my first pivotal moment. Yeah, it's about people having a place to stay. Without a place to stay, what can you do? You know, um, if you've got a job to go to, but you haven't got somewhere to bath and change and get ready to recenter yourself, you're not going to be as productive as you could be, right? So it's a basic human need. So I mean, like I said, transferable skills, and knowing I could see that was our way out to having the passive income, to have that flexibility of time. Yeah, quality time, and like I said, is so valuable to me. And Leslie, we both come from large families, yeah, and yeah, we've just both value that and wanted to be able to just have autonomy of time. We wanted to have that financial freedom, and we both could see property was the way to get us there. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit more about what it is you actually do in the property business, because there's so many different ways that, as you know, that you can take to get into property.
Yeah.
What does your property business look like?
Great question. So, okay, going back to our initial mentorship, right? We did our mentorship up in Liverpool, and we had a great mentor, and one of the things he planted in us was that, we're going to come across certain investment deals which may not be suiting our particular strategy, or maybe we don't have capacity to do immediately, that we can actually source on. So we can actually source on deals. So that's another income stream, right? So I thought, okay, good. At that point, let's say 2016, I'd had my first two children, and 2017 had the third. So we'd started our property journey. Our children were young. We were both actively on it, and learning a lot in terms of the technicalities of property, but also in self-development. Anyway, come back to your question. What do we do? So buy to lets, and then we've built up from that. So we bought our first few buy to lets in 2016. And then we also help to source property for people. So busy professionals who'd like to get into property but don't have the time to go and find it. We had the time. So 2016 as well, my husband, who is also ACCA qualified, an accountant, also he wanted to, turn his back a little bit on the accountancy side of things. Good at it, but it wasn't his passion. And I think we both actually have an inclination for business. Yeah. So that year, he also he joined a franchise. So he was working with BDO, which was one of the top 5 accountancy firms. But, the way of life wasn't his cup of tea. He wanted something else. So he embarked on a franchise which was teaching, LinkedIn training.
Okay.
Yep. That was interesting experience. And yeah, we just went on our entrepreneurial journey from there. And so, like we said, we did buy to lets, and then, backtrack. So that same 2016, we were in our new place in Croydon. When we moved into Croydon, or got the place in Croydon, I think that was 2013 or so, we had budget to do up the house. However, the budget was such that I had to choose whether we're going to do the bathroom or the kitchen. Everything, and then it was the bathroom or the kitchen. So I decided we'll do the bathroom first, because I like to enjoy my soaks. So I wanted it to be in my own bath. And having done so, the kitchen had to wait. It was just about functional. A small mini kitchen. Then we had this breakfast room, and it was green, and it was interesting. It needed updated, but we were like, again, delay gratification, right? When you have a plan and a vision, when you can, forfeit and delay your gratification, knowing that there's a bigger picture. So 2016, we were remortgaging to do our kitchen. We had found someone to do it. We had a quote. Then it was a case of, do we do the kitchen or do we invest in our education? You see, another dilemma, quote unquote. But we already knew that if ever we have the opportunity to invest in our education, we're going to do it, because once you know how to do it, when you teach someone how to fish, they can eat for life.
Yes.
Yeah, not just give them a fish, teach them. So we had the opportunity to learn. So we knew, invest in our education, learn, make the money, then do the kitchen.
Okay.
So that was our plan. Furthermore, we told the builder that we have a bigger vision. Our vision was that not only are we going to get educated, then we can come and work with you potentially and do some projects. And that's what we did.
Wow.
So we did some projects in Thornton Heath area, in Purley Way area. We acquired a property in Thornton Heath, and it was a 5-bedroom property. We reformatted it into 3 flats and sold 2, and we kept 1. The original plan was actually to sell all 3. However, what happened? Brexit happened. So the third wasn't quite selling at the price we wanted. So again, with the education and network we had, we pivoted. We just refinanced it, kept it, and we'll get some money from it. We've kept the freehold. We acquired another property in the Thornton Heath area, and we got planning permission on that. We were going to do it up, but then the circumstances changed, and we decided to sell it. We were able to sell it still with a profit, with the planning permission in place. So it was an increase in value. So we've done all sorts, and then we've been able to do some developments in the Purley Way area. Acquired 2 large houses, raze them to the ground. That's such a funny phrase. Raze it to the
You knocked
ground.
the houses down.
Yes,
Wow.
but for one wall on one side.
Wow.
And then we built, on one side, we built 8 flats um, with the same builder that did our kitchen. Yeah. Um, we built 8 flats, sold 6 and kept 2. And another site in Pearly Way, again, another large house raised to the ground, built 9 flats and sold them all. And because it was 9 flats, then you collaborate with the scheme of Help to Buy. So a few of them were on the Help to Buy scheme as well, right? So those are some of the projects we've done in London. And then we've done some buy to lets up in Liverpool, Merseyside, and we're now currently we've also got some properties in the Merseyside area and St. Helens where we're converting them into accommodations as well. And how we add value is actually, we again, busy professionals source property for them, or they can actually invest in one of our developments and get a fixed return.
Okay.
So that's us.
Wow, it's a lot.
It is.
There's a lot there to unpack. I'm like, yeah. Hopefully you guys listening are picking up on it, because there's a lot there, but
Yeah.
amazing stuff. So out of all of it, what would you
Yes.
say is the easiest to get into? So for somebody who's saying they wanted to
Get
get on a property ladder or get into property, yeah, how would you say is the easiest way or the best way to go about entering into that space?
Education primarily, first and foremost. Like we said, once you're educated, you can't get that taken away from you. And being part of a powerful network. So Field & Financial has been a very pivotal and instrumental part of our journey. Not only have we trained with them, we have now become trainers with them. So Leslie's one of their lead speakers. I also speak at key events for them and help facilitate various trainings. And we also coach for them and have been doing so since about 2017, because we were action takers. Yeah. So we'd already started before our connection with them, but we knew they were the ones that were going to help us take things to the next level. But you only go to the next level if you actually implement what you learn. Yeah. So get your education, get a mentor, get a coach, and then take the right action. So one of our first acquisitions, again, was actually only successful because of the network we had with us, right? So it's one of my favorite acquisitions, because we managed to purchase it for, okay, we offered £40,000 for it, right? It had been on the market for a while. The lady who had lived there had passed away. Her son has acquired it, but he's not interested in having the property. He's moved in with his partner. So he isn't entrepreneurial minded. He doesn't want to be a landlord. He wants to get rid. We offer to purchase it for 40,000. He's happy. However, the mortgage providers say it's unmortgageable because it has damp in it.
Okay.
So, if you're not a professional property investor, which is what we recognize ourselves as now, you would say, forget it, a no-go. But we consulted with our network, and we decided that, you know what, we can buy it cash. And not only did we buy it cash, we used what we call angels. So people who have money and are happy to invest in a deal for a fixed return, and to get their money back at the end of the day as well. And we negotiated to decrease the cost of the property from 40,000 to £39,999. Now, why do you think we did that?
I don't know. Why did you do that?
So that we didn't have to pay stamp duty.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Right. So by making that one adjustment, we didn't have to pay stamp duty. Right. So he was happy with that. And then we used angels again, people who would invest in the deal for a fixed return to provide us with resource to refurb the property. So we bought the property with 2 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms. They had a bathroom downstairs and one upstairs. Up in Liverpool area, that's commonplace, having a bathroom downstairs. So what we did is we converted the upstairs bathroom into a bedroom, made it a 3-bedroom, refurbished the whole place, made it habitable, treated the damp, so then it could now be mortgaged. So once that was all done, we were able to apply a mortgage to it. Backtrack one more step. We were also now told about a technique known as a keys undertaking. So when you acquire a property, there are 2 stages. There is the point of exchange, where you do the legal exchange of documents, agree how you're acquiring the property, and then completion, where you pay the final full amount and the person who is selling the property gets their full money, right? Some of that money may be mortgage money, right? So when we, at the point of exchange, we gave them a sum of money. And then agreed a keys undertaking. So we took ownership of the key to refurb the property. He was happy with that. Refurb the property. When we finish refurbing the property, we then get a mortgage on the property at the new higher value, which it valued up at, let's say, about £80,000.
Yeah.
Then at the £80,000, the mortgage lender will give us 75% of the £80,000. We're able to pay back our angels. We maintain this asset, which will give us monthly income, regular passive income, and being a property, it increases in value over time. So that's what has happened. So yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. But that sounds like a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and a lot of risk. So it sounds like you have a strong appetite for risk, would you say?
Nice question. So investing, there is an element of, yeah, every element of investing they will say your capital is at risk, right?
Yeah.
But there's levels of risk, right? I would say that was a relatively low level of risk. Buy to lets are quite low. So one, because we were educated, we went and saw there was demand. We knew that property was going to rent out after doing the property. There's, if you do a property up and then no one's willing to rent it out, that is a big, that's a faux pas, then it's now you out of your own pocket. It's not an asset. It's not putting money into your pocket, right? So you do your research. You make sure that this property that you're acquiring will be an asset. So we were very confident because we'd done the groundwork. We knew that what we were buying was going to work. We'd done the groundwork. We had the education. We knew what we were doing. By doing something without the education, that's where the risk is. Yeah, that's where the risk is. When you are just guessing. Yeah, but when you do something with sound knowledge, sound research, then it's not just guessing. It's an informed action. Yeah, nothing is guaranteed. We're not God, but when you do enough research and enough preparation, the probability of success is high. Yeah. So, but in terms of risk, I say my husband has a higher risk appetite than I do. Yeah. But with time and experience, your expertise grows such that taking certain steps is not such a high risk, quote unquote. But also the model we were taught is you start with the low risk assets, which are the buy to lets, before you go into mixed purpose use or HMOs, right? So they're the more complicated acquisitions, more complicated refurbs, which if you don't do it right, can sink you more, So we the model Fielding used to work on was based on a pyramid, and the pyramid was get your buy-to-lets, quite a few of them. There may be some mixed purpose properties and what we say like HMOs, and then so on and so forth, right? So as you're going up the pyramid, that is going up in risk. However, with your increased experience, you are able to make sound judgment. So that the risk is minimized. And if you now increase your cash flow at the lower tier of the pyramid, then you buffer yourself to the points of the higher points of the period wherein it is slightly riskier, wherein your losses could be more significant. So you go gradually with it to increase your experience and your knowledge, etc., so that you make well informed and sound decisions.
It makes sense. No, that makes sense. Okay, so you mentioned a few times so far on the episode that you work with your husband, Leslie, right? So what has that been like, being in business with your spouse, would you say? What's your experience been like, and would you recommend?
Would I recommend? It has been a good experience. Our love story, we met as youth leaders. I was a youth leader in our church branch in Camberwell. He was the youth leader in, where was he? In Battersea, right? When we first met, actually, we were both in separate relationships. So we got to know each other just as people, which was really great, right? And then upon graduation, I remember he was giving us a testimony at church, and it made me realize he was single. I was also single at that time.
Not the raised eyebrow.
And literally, I literally said a prayer. I'm like, oh Lord, what do you think? So then, then from there we got on each other's radar, and we got to realize that we worked really well together. So as we were organizing things for the church and stuff, and we literally worked well together. So that was a good sign. And thereafter, romantic emotions developed. But we didn't even court for long. We were quite focused, and I when he knew what he was looking for, and when he was ready and we took further action, he asked me, and then we progressed into marriage. But basically we work well together. I think we balance each other out. Like I said, he has a higher risk appetite than I do. We're both into a level of detail, but probably certain aspects of things, I check the detail more than he does, but then we just balance each other out, so we do work well together. It's not something that works well for everyone.
Okay.
It's not. So I've met other people and they're like, I worked with my husband, it's terrible, we stopped.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But by God's grace, we work well together.
Yeah, over 8 years in the property business, and you've now taken another direction or added another string to your bow.
Yes.
In terms of business pursuits and things you do. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what else it is that you do?
Okay. So even since 2017, so the year after we started investing in property professionally, I got introduced to Utility Warehouse, a network marketing opportunity. So I went to a business networking event, and a gentleman heard that I was a property investor, and he basically asked me how I actually like to make money off the properties I pay utilities for. And me being the one who likes passive income and, wanting to leverage time, I was like, yes, I'd definitely like to know more. So that was another opportunity wherein I could flexibly work around my children at my convenience and helping people, which is something that's close to my heart. People are the heart of everything I do. Yeah. It's something I remember. It's something maybe my mum passed on to me as well, right? You care more about people than you do about things.
Yes.
Yeah. Things are just to benefit us as people, right? I've been just entrepreneurial since let's say 2016 with property, and then now with Utility Warehouse, and that has brought passive income, active income. I like that new phrase. Is that something that's come to my attention? Active income, because I'm always about passive income, doing something well once and getting paid over and over again. Active income, doing something, get paid a commission. So I do that as well. But I was telling you, I now do a lot more coaching as well, right? So I've been doing coaching and getting paid for it, let's say since 2017 with Field and Financial, etc. But coaching is something that I've been doing, let's say since I was a youth, really. It's something that comes naturally to me. I'm able to kind of see the best in people and help them maximize it and get the best out of themselves. So it's also something that I've been seeking direction into formalizing and monetizing. I've been coached myself, and I now do a lot more of that as well formally. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what's the experience been like so far doing the coaching?
Absolutely, I love it. It's like doing the thing that makes your heart sing.
Yes.
Property is one of them, coaching is another, and for me, it's like those two things. It almost doesn't feel like work to me, because I love doing it. It comes naturally to me. It does have a lot of moving parts, but I have those skills, and in doing them, it fulfills me, and I love it because I can balance it. It balances well with the lifestyle that I would like and I like. Yeah.
So then how do you coach your clients, would you say? Like, what kind of transformation is it that you help them to achieve?
Well, more a case of getting clarity on what it is that they want to do and helping them to stay accountable. Yeah? So again, going back to, let's say, my Utility Warehouse things, I've been promoted. I'm a senior team leader now. So and that's only because I've been able to help other people to grow their businesses. How's that? Through coaching and accountability. It's been a lot of self-development. One of the books being The Consistency Chain, and it's about doing.
Oh, who's the author of that?
Oh, the name has escaped me. We'll have to look at
the consistency chain.
The Consistency Chain. Yeah, it's two authors for that particular book, and basically it's about doing simple things repeatedly, but it's something that not a lot of people can do.
Preach. Yeah, no, it's easier said than done. It's definitely easier said than done.
Yes, and so sometimes you need someone who can just hold you accountable.
Yes.
When you have someone who will hold you accountable, or accountability group, it helps you to stay on track. And that has helped me and my team to stay on track and elevate, So that is one of the techniques and I use to help my clients to maximize and leverage, and to basically identify what is your goal, break down the goal, and to take the regular, consistent actions to realize it.
Yes.
Yeah. And celebrating your wins. I'm all about celebrating. Yeah. You have to celebrate your wins. Regularly celebrating your wins, recognizing the progress you've made, and it attracts more, and gratitude. Woo! Yes. But it's been a lot of self-development, basically. And again, self-development that one, I think, started for me again with the Bible. that was my first self-development, I'd say. And then self-development took another perspective when I started property. They introduced us to lots of self-development books. But again, I came to find that a lot of the principles in these self-development books that I was introduced to were based off principles, again, found in the Bible.
Yes.
You know? So it's all about self-development, mindset, association. And so just helping people to get all these things in the right balance.
Yeah. Amazing. And have you been through coaching yourself?
Yes. I'm still getting coached. Shout out to Mac Atram. He is my current coach and mentor. And his wife has been my mentor as well. Mothers in business. So I absolutely see the absolute value in coaching. Always, I think of Usain Bolt, right? He had a natural gifting. All these athletes do. But you have a coach because they're helping you to maximize and draw out the natural gifting in you. Sometimes you can't see your full potential, but a third party can. Yeah. And sometimes you just need someone to lovingly holding you accountable. I say lovingly because I like that. Sometimes people want the sergeant major, but I like to walk in love. Be the sunshine, and get the best out of people.
So what would you say then are some of the key benefits of life coaching, and how, if so, does it differ to like going for therapy, would you say?
Ooh, interesting question. I've not specifically been for therapy, so I really can't give the full balance on that. But I think like therapy, as I see it, is kind of maybe dealing with the past, issues from the past, and helping you to unpack them. Yeah. With coaching, you probably do a little bit of therapy because you are dealing with people's traumas and mental blocks and self and belief or lack thereof, and habits, bad habits that they're doing, and new habits they need to put into place, right? With coaching, it's is an active action and active supervision to help you move forward. Therapy also, but I think it's looking more at the past, whereas coaching is helping you with the here and now and pushing you towards your future.
I guess the next question I have is going back to property. It's what advice you would give to somebody wanting to get into the property business or get started in property?
Education. First and foremost, education. By God's grace, I believe everything is moving towards encouraging professional landlords, which I'm all for, because we want responsible landlords who look after the property and give people a safe environment to live and thrive, right? So getting associated with the right organization, which will give you the right education, the right network of support, so that you can ask your questions, and pivot and adapt to the changing economy as required to, provide, again, quality accommodation for our end user. That's the main thing. So get education, get a mentor, find out what your strengths are and what it is that you want to do. I say that because there's a strategy known as rent to rent, and we explored that for a while. And we did that actually through, let's say, a third party, an agent, someone who introduced us to a person. So we had a middle person. With that strategy, you become like the letting agent as well, so you have to vet your potential tenants. You manage, and you're actually responsible for the utilities. You have a lot of responsibility on a day-to-day. Yeah. So I'm saying that to say that in terms of property, you have to decide how involved do you want to be.
Okay.
Do you want to be involved in the day-to-day? Even if a service accommodation, are you going to be the one who's going to be changing the bedding and refurbishing the place every day? Or are you going to get someone to do that? So are you going to be actively running it, or are you going to be running it as a business? Yeah. Where you're running it as a business, you're going to have a letting agent who's managing it on a day-to-day. You supervise them. And again, even if it was the service accommodation, you can have third parties who run it for you on a day-to-day, and you manage it CEO level, right? So it's a case of clarifying, what is your aspiration? How do you see yourself running it day-to-day? Do you want to be hands-on, or do you want it to be an asset to bring you that income so you can do other things?
It's good questions for them to ask themselves when they're considering it. Okay, then that leads me on, because you were saying about having financial education and how important the financial education was for you in terms of getting into property business, understanding how it all works and what property business model you wanted to adopt. So what advice would you give to anybody that's in that stage now, that they're trying to get that education, property, to get into the property business, but there's also a lot of organizations that are out there that are trying to get people's money, sell the services, but not necessarily for the end user's benefit. So how, any advice you'd give to them, or what red flags to look out for to avoid them basically squandering their money or losing their money to one of these types of
Great question.
organizations.
So same way, like if you're looking for a builder, yeah, if I would um get referrals, go and see the work they've done, go and find out the success stories, yeah, see someone who's used their services before, yeah. So I'm affiliated with Field and Financial. I highly recommend them. It's worked for us, yeah. And so they're the ones I recommend. So you can come and see and speak to other people who've been through that particular education organization who've had good success. You understand? So um, you even like, again with the builder, I'm coming to consider a builder. Even the builder that we worked with, we went to go and see properties he's worked on to see their their handiwork, yeah, and to see get feedback from people they've worked with, get their genuine feedback. How did you, how was it working with them? Was it a good experience? Would you work with them again? You know, so looking for online reviews, they're good. However, I feel sometimes online reviews aren't very transparent, aren't very representative.
Yes.
Reason being, for example, I had someone maybe who did a gas safety certificate for me, yeah, and then he was keen for me to do a review for him. Initially, I was quite happy. Thereafter, I came to find issues, you know. So it was a case of I will give a review, but give it time. Let me assess it and really be sure that I'm very happy with it. So not just because the initial review was maybe valid at that time, but give it a few weeks, it wasn't quite as valid. You understand? So thereafter, if people ask for a review, I'm never too quick to give a review. I'll let it settle, let the dust settle. Yeah. So speak to people. Yeah. Again, it's all about people. Get their honest review. You know, how was it? You know, and get their insight, because the way I learn, the way you learn can be totally different. Whether you are a bookworm and you need the theory, you want the theory, or you are one who learns through action, which most people do. So you want to understand what style of teaching is being offered, what a style or amount of mentorship is offered or coaching is offered, you know. So you need to understand yourself as a person, how best you learn, therefore you can find what type of schooling or education system will work for you.
It's good. It's really good. Very helpful. Very useful.
Good.
Hopefully, yeah, it's going to help some of the listeners wanting to do it so that they
Yeah.
don't, yeah,
Squander
their money. And then also as well, there is only so much an organization can do for you. You do
Yes.
need to do the work. So
Absolutely.
sometimes you do get people giving bad reviews to certain organizations when actually it's just that you've been given the tools but you haven't done anything with
Absolutely.
it. So.
Absolutely. Because if I give you a hammer to go and break up, let's say a building, well, it wouldn't be a building. Let's say to break down something, right? And you don't use the hammer, you can't say that I didn't provide you with the tools. You know, you just did not use it. Yeah. So you may have the tools in your hand, but if you don't implement it, you can't blame anyone.
No, exactly. And so that leads kind of into my next question, actually, in
Yeah.
terms of misconceptions that people have about getting into the property business. What would you say some of the common misconceptions people may have are?
Good question. I'm not sure. I think often maybe the idea of you don't need money to get into property, but at the same time, I think that is actually true. Yeah. So it is. You don't need your own money, quote unquote. Yeah. But if you have the education and you can now help other people to effectively use their money, which is what we do in a lot of things, then you know you're using other people's money. Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. If you've not read it, I highly recommend it. You know, again, he also recommends the value and the power of network marketing, and you said you work to learn, not to earn. He talks about using other people's money a lot, right? So in that first example about one of my favorite property acquisitions, we used other people's money, and we use other people's money in quite a few of our developments, right? So that people can get their money working harder for them than it is in the bank. If you leave money in the bank over time, it loses value because of inflation. Yeah. So you want to get your money, earning money, multiplying at a rate faster than inflation is decreasing the value of your money, right? So we offer people that opportunity. Some people like the job they're doing, but they want to build more money for the future. So we offer people the opportunity to invest with us for a fixed return, right? So that's how you can do. So once you have the education, you can help people to get their money working better for them. Whilst maybe they don't have the time to do it, maybe you have the time, then you're making that leverage. I'm, in terms of misconceptions, maybe if you threw me some ideas, I can give back to you. But I guess I've been in the industry for quite a bit.
I think a big misconception is about it being easy to get on a property ladder. I think a lot of people think it's very easy. It's easy money. I think that's a big misconception. I think, people think it's easy. I think that's a big one that I hear a lot.
Becoming a property investor is easy.
Or they just think it's the overnight success. Like overnight, they're just going to be a millionaire by getting onto property. Getting into properties.
And even for one of the things we used to highlight is that we have a lot of accidental landlords, right? So just because you're a landlord or you've become a landlord, it doesn't make you an investor. Yeah. So being an investor is being able to look at a deal, assess the deal, and make sure it's financially sound. That at the end of the day, there is a profit. In some of the courses we've been teaching with people have properties, like I said, but they are now having to pay out of their own pocket to clear the mortgage. Your asset should be giving you more than enough to cover your mortgage, and therefore giving you a profit. That's why it's an asset. But if your expenses have now increased to the point wherein you are having to put money out of your pocket to sustain it, it's not an asset. That's a point where you now have to pivot, modify the strategy. For example, you have a simple buy-to-let and you're earning maybe, I don't know, £500 net per month, yeah? However, maybe it's situated nicely near a hospital, yeah, or some other amenity, or it's very well connected to the town centre. So maybe you could turn it into a service accommodation for corporate lets, wherein maybe the hospital might rent out your property for periods of time for maybe nurses or doctors to come and stay in for a period of time, wherein they might be paying, I don't know, £500 for every 3 days. So you'll be multiplying your income. Instead of just getting a net of £500 per month, you could be getting a few thousand per month, right? Again, different types of service accommodation, that gives you more money, where people are paying per night, like a hotel, as opposed to monthly, right? So COVID, people had properties wherein you could not necessarily use it in the original intended purpose. But then having the right network, you were able to pivot and revise the method so that it could serve a purpose and still provide you an income.
Yeah. You've been on this property journey for, 8 years now?
Yeah, over 8 years.
So, over 8 years. So, what would you say is like the best deal that you've done so far over the 8 years?
The best deal. I refer back to my favorite deal, the one I told you in the first place, because there was so many key learnings and so many aha moments, as my coach would say. Like I said, without the education, it would have been a deal we could have left. And that's the key and the value of education. Yeah, people maybe see a property and then they get scared by the work that needs to be done. But without the right education and connections, it can be a liability, but it should be an asset. With the right resource and education, we turned it into an asset. So it's an asset which, like we said, has increased in value, has been given us income, and should we choose, we could now sell it for a profit and then put it into another, use the profit for another purpose. Yeah. So that's one of my favorite, because it kind of covers all the basics. You have to start with the basics before you get complicated. When you get the basics right, the so-called complicated becomes easy and lucrative.
And another question I have, which is kind of off topic, but your mother, you said, how many children do you have?
Three boys. My 3 young princes.
Yay, boy mum. Fellow boy mum.
Yes.
So how do you manage it all, having the 3 boys and all these multiple businesses that you do, and managing a household and being a wife and it being a ministry at church? Like, there's so much that you do. How do you do it all?
Plan. I've learned to leverage resources such as Calendly. I remember when my husband first used Calendly, and I used to think, there's Ghanaian origin. He said, you're too known. It's like, you think you're too much. People have to book in to meet with you. What? But Calendly is my best friend.
Oh, really?
Calendly, so you now, it syncs with your diary, and then you can indicate your availabilities for your various your areas of responsibility. for your coaching. You can say you're going to do coaching on a Tuesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. You book in, etc. For example, or consultancy, you can book in with me on these dates. Again, my UW, I'm available on these days. So then, you can't compartmentalize your time. And it's not a case of, oh, are you available? It saves so much time trying to find that, synchronize that time. So using technology to its best advantage, using a diary, a planner, write down the vision, make it plain, one, then use your calendar and plan it out. And then reviewing my goals daily and regularly. Yeah. And also planning in my rest.
Yeah.
I learned the value of rest at university. Again, I'm an academic. I work hard. And sometimes you push yourself, but then you can sometimes push yourself too hard, right? God showed us the example in resting, yeah? When you rest, that's when you get refreshed. That's when you get new ideas, So there's so much value in rest. It shouldn't be underrated. So I plan in my rest. Planning me time, planning time with the husband, with the kids. Yeah, and knowing the power and the importance of also saying no. It's not everything we have to say yes to.
Facts.
It's not everything we have to say yes to. So it's for me, it's planning, using my calendar, using my Calendly, using my online resources, and planning my time and being confident to say no to certain things.
Amazing. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up and before we go,
Yes.
Final question or final thoughts or final piece of advice or anything that you want to share with the listeners who are maybe considering getting on the property ladder or just in general trying to balance it all, being a mom, I can't say that word, mompreneur,
Yes.
and manage life and manage business and all the rest of it. Like, any words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom that you want to leave them with?
Thank you. I'd say get clear on your goals, write down your goals, find a coach. They help you to minimize and avoid mistakes. They help you to get to your goals quicker. They keep you on track. Yeah. Use a calendar, plan your time, find time for you. I always have my morning time. Again, self-development, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod.
Great book.
Ooh, I love it. Savers. I implement that every day. Having time to do gratitude and reset, it sets my day up well. Exercise, self-care is so important. Yeah. And making sure you look after yourself and take time for yourself, and having, I have maybe cafe sessions, Sometimes you need a change of environment. I happily work from home, but sometimes you just need a change of environment, just to give you fresh inspiration. So I like variety. So again, understanding what you like and working with your strengths. Yeah. But like I said, also planning in the rest so you don't burn out.
And just before you go, then just tell us how people can stay connected with you, find out more about the work you do, and find out about signing up for the coaching.
Oh, I'm on Instagram. So I have a link tree. So reach out to me via my link tree. Then you can actually book in for a synergy call if you're looking to explore coaching with me, and if it's for just consultation, and to find out about investment opportunities with us where you can invest for a fixed return. I must also emphasize that you don't even need thousands of pounds to invest. That's one of our unique selling points, I'd say. We have a few people who have invested with us even just £500, and you can get a nice good return, better than you're getting in your bank, right?
Yeah.
We also have people who have invested far greater amounts, right? But the whole point is, for me, it's a case of giving everybody the opportunity to invest and get a return. It's not only when you have the big bucks that you can get your money working for you. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much, Grace, for coming on. It's been a really insightful education. I'm going to be enjoying the edit when I go back and listen to it all. So I can take notes on all of these things relating to the property business. Because I must say, even though I'm a home owner, when it comes to the different types of ways to monetize having property,
yes,
I'm a novice. So
yes.
no, it's been really educational for me, and I'm sure it is going to be for the listeners too. So
wonderful.
I really appreciate you, and thank you for coming on today's episode. And yeah, no, thanks for coming.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. And we out.